Oh, okay. Hi. Welcome to the Writing Gals. New time for our podcast. We're still figuring things out. Like my lighting in my room I think there's a ghost in here. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, we're talking today about our book launch checklist. It's been posted on our Facebook group, and we've gotten some people asking to go over the steps and talk about how to do each of them. And we're going to broaden it out and talk about what extra steps you'll have if you do a pre-order or if you have a wide launch. So we're going to go through all that today. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them, and we'll get to them as we can. But in the meantime, let's see what everybody's up to, because every time I talk to my friends here, they're all busy, busy, busy. So, Anne-Marie, tell us what you're doing right now.
Well, I'm trying to finish my third book of my Red Stiletto book club series. And I think I'm at 34,000 words. But I just texted these ladies today, and I was like, I'm at that point in your book where you're like, this is a stupid book, and why am I writing this? So hopefully I can push through all of that and get it finished. I'm hoping to launch probably middle of November. It's like the closer we get to the election, the more I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to launch a book during that time. So I'm like, I don't have to push my book super hard. But anyways, regardless, my pre-order is due on December 1st. So it has to be done by then, but I would love to get it done sooner. I'm also working on my book with Christina Dymick or Lucy McConnell. We are almost done with it. We're both super busy, and so this book has definitely been a longer book for us to finish, but I'm like, that's okay. And then I'm also trying to figure out what I'm going to do for Christmas. So I'm boxing up some of my Christmas books and hopefully pushing some box sets if I can't get a Christmas book written. But it snowed here in Minnesota already. The first time in 140 years it snowed this early. So I've got a lot of inspiration out my window to write. So we'll see if that happens.
I'll be jealous of that in a couple of weeks when I'm trying to start mine. Amy was like, why do I live here? And I was like, because snow is awesome, but it's awesome here in Arkansas where you get it like maybe once or twice a year.
Not this early. And I have been trying to get in my car and write in my car, which has been really I've done it for like 2 or 3 days. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But now I'm freezing in my car. So I either have to leave it on with the heat going, or I have to sit there and freeze. So I guess it's I brought a blanket and I have my coat, but I don't know. We'll see. Minnesota's lame. Don't move here.
Speaking of moving, Judy just had that big disruption in her life. So are you back to work again, Judy?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So I just moved the very beginning of October, and that was just a whole fiasco with, I don't know, I guess a move in 2020 has to follow the rest of 2020. So, but yeah, we are in the house, and I was also supposed to finish Friend Zone to End Zone like 2 days before we were moving. Well, that didn't happen. And so I ended up just sending what I had to my editor, and she's really nice and was fine with just the first 65,000 words. And then I eventually finished it last week, I think. So yeah, but yeah, I like my new house. It's nice. And now I'm waiting for the edits to get back from my editor. And while I'm waiting for that, I decided to switch the first book in my adult series to first person point of view so that it matched the other books. And also I just kind of wanted to revise it a little and make it a little better, just so that people reading the first book would have maybe a little better taste of what's to come than my writing from a few years ago. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I might finish it before I get the edits back. I might not. We'll see. But I'm excited to publish. I'm hoping for November 4th, but yeah, I wasn't thinking about the election, so we'll see how that goes. I was just like, I got to get it done before everyone's like in the mood for Christmas. So, because it's not Christmas themed book, but yeah, that's life.
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. Victorine, how about you?
I am furiously trying to finish my second book in my Billionaire Club rom-com series, which is A Case of Extreme Mistaken Identity. So it's a fun one with famous people and lots of craziness going on. And hopefully it's funny and inspiring and happy ending. So I just have to get it done. It's up on pre-order right now, and it's due the end of next month. So getting towards that halfway mark.
I think the only thing preserving my sanity is I don't have my next one up on pre-order, but I still feel the pressure. So I'm madly trying to finish mine too. I'm like I've passed the halfway point now. And I've added in a matchmaking mama, which is making things really fun. Mine's called Give Me One Good Reason, and it's part of my Shaped by Love rom-com series. And I'm really excited to be doing that. But I'm also, as usual, working on multiple projects at the same time. So I'm also getting words in on my young adult and starting planning for my Christmas book that I've got to write very quickly next month. And then I've got another project kind of simmering in the background that is going to be like my big thing all the way through the end of November and December. And so that we just keep things turning around here, don't we?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's
so I'm going to say, Michelle, real quick. So I discovered this feature on Scrivener, and if you write in Scrivener, you should try it. But you can go to typewriter section or typewriter mode, and it's like it blocks out everything on your screen, and it's just like it kind of reminds me of those electronic keyboard thingies that just show you like the one line, and so then you just have to type. I mean, you can see all of it, but it just like the way the screen looks is so much different than the way it looks in Scrivener, and it's like all you can focus on are the words, and there's not like pages or anything. There's other distractions. So I wrote in that, and I busted out like 1,300 words in like a half an hour writing in that mode. So if you haven't, go to your like right side of your screen up in the corner. It looks like, hold on, let me see. Oh, it looks like a screen, and then it's like a black like block across it. So you just click on that, and you can also like make it so that the sides that's black, you can make it fade, and so you can start seeing other parts of your computer screen. Anyways, I had never found out about that, and I tried that today, and I was like, I need to type in this way more because it doesn't let you get distracted by the other things that are on your screen.
Yeah, I recently was watching YouTube video tutorials on Scrivener, and I think that a lot of is yours a Mac version of Scrivener? See, I think the Mac version of Scrivener has some slightly different things than the PC version, which I have. But in the PC version, you just go to what's called full screen, and it does the same thing. So it just brings it up to where it's just the Word document that you're typing on. And it's got a sidebar, which you can just set to be like a color or something that's like inspiring. I've got like raindrops on mine, I think. But yeah, so I think, wait a second. I'll just look real quick.
And mine, I have the older version and I have a Mac. And mine's called like, I'm guessing it's the same. It's called compose mode. I just click compose and then it takes me to a screen. It's like,
what tab are you in when you get there? To get there? To
on
compose.
Mine? It's just at the top.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And I have the newest version of Scrivener. So it called mine typewriter.
Mine's it's supposed to keep updating for you, isn't it? Hold on.
No, they hadn't. I think you had to approve the new.
Yeah, I think you had to get like the third version or something. I never.
And I think you had to pay like $10 to upgrade.
Well, on whatever version I have, you just go to the view tab, and go to full screen. So that's like 3 options for all of you Scrivener people out there. Yes.
It was pretty awesome. I was like, this is how I'm going to type from now on, is in this mode, because it just makes you focus on what you're writing and not everything else that you were like, hey, that's more interesting than what I'm doing. So I'm writing right now.
I'm addicted to writing in Comic Sans now, too. Like a lot of people says it works better. It works better for me.
Typewriter mode, I think they changed the font too. It doesn't look normal.
Yeah.
I've tried Comic Sans, but I like to like italicize words sometimes in my writing, and I can't do that.
Oh, can you not italicize in Comic Sans?
Not on my computer.
I can. I can
Really?
italicize in it.
Hmm.
But even if you click the italicize and you can't see it in Comic Sans, when you turn it back to Times New Roman or whatever you use,
Oh, it will be there.
then it will be there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again then.
It works for me. Wow, we're just having like this whole extra workshop here.
There you
Okay.
go.
Back to our book launch checklist. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is a printable file. It's a PDF that I have shared in our Facebook group. And you can go there to the file section and you can download it, print it, whatever you want to use. But we kept getting a lot of questions in our group about people like wanting to know everything that for new authors, wanting to know everything that they needed to have ready and do before they launched a book and what order to do them in and all this sort of stuff. And so just to make things easy, I made this checklist. And it's also something that I've been using in a less organized way to make sure I remember all these steps, because sometimes you just forget one and then you kick yourself. Like if you forget to tell BookBub that you have a new release and then you don't get the free news release alert to your followers, you're like, why didn't I do that? So but we've also gotten some feedback that people want to know, like line by line, what some of these things are. And so we're going to go down through the list, and some of them we won't need to explain, or we've already done a podcast on them, but some of them will kind of go into more detail, and we'll let everybody kind of tell us how and when they do the different steps. So the first two things I put on the list were to write a tagline and a blurb. And this is something that a lot of times I get ready to publish my book, and then I'm like, I have to do that, and it's the worst part.
Mm-hmm.
And seriously, I've been uploading frantically at like midnight before and realizing I don't even have my tagline and blurb written. And so I put it on the list so I could start doing it further ahead of time, like just have it done. But it's also, I've found, if I'm really awesome, to do it while I'm writing or before I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it helps me to really focus on what tropes I'm going to be playing up and what my hooks are going to be and all those sorts of things. So when do you guys write your taglines and blurbs?
I usually do it before. Well, I sometimes tweak them later on, but I do try to write them before I write the book, just so I can put up the pre-order.
Yeah, me too. If I can write a really good tagline before I write the book, then it kind of centers me on what my purpose is as I'm writing, and it can be super helpful. A lot of times if I wait till the end and try to write it afterwards, it's way harder because you've got this huge, massive story in your mind, and trying to pare it down to 1 or 2 sentences for a tagline is super duper hard. But if you can write that grippy, cute tagline before you start the book, when you just have a concept in your mind, at least I'm a pantster, so that's how I write. It's easier for me.
Yeah, I think especially with new authors, they get too caught up in trying to tell all the important details that the readers are going to want to know in the book and book blurb especially. And really, you only need to have hooks and selling points in there. Like you don't need to tell them so many details. Long book descriptions usually become a turnoff because nobody likes to read big blocks of text. So just a quick tip on the tagline and blurb. When you're going into KDP to set up your book and you get to the section where you actually enter in your tagline and blurb, a great way to format that is to use Kindlepreneur's book blurb generator, book description generator. It's a free tool that they have over there. And it gives you the ability to put in different sizes and italics and blurbs. Bold words to, I've even used bullet points on one. That's especially helpful for nonfiction. There's just a whole lot that you can do there. And what it does is it just writes the code for you. If you're good at writing code, you can go ahead and do it yourself. But if you don't know how to write code, then this tool on Kindlepreneur will actually do it for you. And then you just copy and paste it into the box on KDP. So, thanks. Somebody's so helpful and put the link in there for us.
But you can no longer make like bigger text.
Yeah.
It all has it, which is annoying because I liked being able to do that for my tagline.
I did too.
But you can also do like a heart emoji. So when I was doing box sets, to separate out each of the books, I would put a heart emoji on either side. I mean, it's only black, but it's kind of a little fun thing to put inside of it.
Yeah. So we have a question, where do you use the tagline? So I always put the tagline before my blurb. And all I do is I put it at the very, very top, and I put it in bold. So it's darker and it's more obvious. And then I just have a space, and then my book description will go under that. And that way it pops up and it shows up, and it's the first thing that they see under the title of the book.
Yeah. Plus, it's really helpful if you're swapping with other authors who only share taglines. Then they have it right there, and they're not trying to make up one for you.
And it's real. One of the things I really love about the tagline being on the product page is that now Amazon has all those ads that are right under our description, and it kind of cuts off more of our description than it used to. So the reader has to click see more earlier in the blurb than they used to. Does that make sense? So now they only have a few lines of your book description to read before they get to that ad that cuts it off. So if you have a really hooky tagline that they can read in its entirety, that the ad isn't covering up, then you've got that first really good selling point right there in bold, easy to read, not covered up. So I think it's very helpful to have on the product page. Okay, so we're going to go on and talk about creating promo graphics, which is also on here, and it's something that you can start using early in the process. What do you guys use to make promo graphics? Where do you post them? When do you post them? That kind of thing.
I like BookBrush.
Yeah, I love
that's
BookBrush.
a really easy tool to create really nice looking graphics. And usually I post them on Facebook or any other social media that I'm active in, and trying to generate people getting excited about it. I do have a Facebook group for a fan group, and I post them in there.
Yeah, me too. And then I do sometimes make some in Photoshop as well if I want to add a tagline or just make it fancier. I don't know, so just different maybe. I use this special. There's a website. I'm gonna try to find it real quick that I use to help me get it's like the 3D book cover creator. And it's so I can put the link in here, but I use that to get the how you can get your cover on a tablet or I don't look like it's a paperback. So I use that to put on if I want to use a big image of a romantic couple, and then have that there so people know it's a book. So
yeah. I think they're really helpful to use at different stages. So you can make promos for coming soon or cover reveal, or give advance excerpts or funny lines from your book just to start generating interest. And then you can do new release, and you can do later on, you can do sales and promo and freebie and all these different graphics. And so sometimes if you're just sitting between steps, your book is at the editor or something like that, you can go ahead and just sit down and knock out a whole series of graphics for the same book. And that way you're never scrambling to go in and find them. You just have them all ready to use and start sharing at the appropriate time. Do you have anything you want to add, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, I use Canva for all my promotional stuff. It's just easier for me. Although when I'm in Canva, I still think I'm in Photoshop, and then I always do Command T for to make it bigger. And then my computer always hey, it pops up another tab, and I was like, crap, no, that's not what I meant to do, because this is different. You get used to keystrokes in different places. But I would also say, back to the tagline and blurb, you also are going to need one when you put up for your arcs. I don't know if we talked about that, but
we'll be getting to arcs in a second.
Mm-hmm. That's normally when I write my tagline and blurb. Even if I have a pre-order, sometimes I just say that this is the next book in the series, or I'll put up something short. But that's when I go, crap, I need a blurb and a tagline, because I've got to have it for my ARC copies.
Yep. All right, we have a question. It says, do you make your promos look like your cover or have the same theme? So, I mean, that's
a cover on it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what I'm doing. If it's for a Facebook ad, it really depends. how I'm promoting my Facebook ad. But if it's like in my Facebook group or something, I want people to get used to seeing my cover image. So
yeah. I think generally having your cover on there is the best idea. And then you can mix up the design for what works better on different platforms. And you can try and keep it all common between, like, across the whole set if you want to. But it's not like a hard, fast rule. You're just trying to catch the reader's eye and get them to click and get interested in it. And I would also say that make your graphics really easy to read. The same kind of concepts that go into designing a cover should be used when designing graphics. And so try and limit the number of fonts you use. Try and make your contrast between the color background and the font really strong so that it's easier to read. And when you're using like photographs and patterns and all those things, you just have to be really, really careful that it's, going to be easy to read, because most of the time your graphics are going to be seen in like really small thumbnail sizes. They're not going to be like full page like you might be designing it. It's going to be thumbnail. And
if you're like me and you get in there and you're like, okay, now I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know how to design this. BookBrush has a ton of templates that are free and public, and you can just go in and look through them and put your stuff in. They also have a Facebook group where people post all kinds of stuff they've made, ads and stuff they've made with BookBrush. So you can get ideas from that, and that's super helpful to look at what other people have done.
Yeah. Okay, so we have talked about that. We've talked before about newsletter swaps, and we actually do have a podcast where we've talked about doing newsletter swaps. This is something that is definitely easier to start and organize if you have an actual release date for your book and you know that you're going to hit your release date. So one of the problems that I have is that I am always behind and I never quite know exactly when my book's going to come out. So I'm always rushing to set up newsletter swaps at the last minute. But it's really, really good to have this started before you launch the book, because you want to have a lot of people set up their newsletter swaps months ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And so if you really want to get on some of those really good newsletters, then you need to have, the work done ahead of time so that you can make those. And anybody else have any thoughts about newsletter swaps?
I always try to set them up a month in advance. Which is sometimes I'm annoyed, like, oh, my editor takes a whole month to do it. But I'm like, this is good because she has it, and then I can do these other things. So,
yeah.
And if you have friends that write in different genres than you, don't swap with them. Just swap with people who write in as close of a genre as you can get to your own, because that's going to be way more helpful to you.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to confuse Amazon on who they're supposed to be showing your book to. I've done that many, many times.
And you don't want to turn off your newsletter readers because you're showing them books that they aren't interested in.
Yeah, that's true.
So it kind of works both directions on that. Okay, we're going to talk about making a marketing plan. So this is something that is going to vary widely. And it's not something that has to be major if you're just starting out, but just kind of have an idea of what you want to do to get the word out about your book and get it in front of people. So do we want to answer this newsletter swap real quick before we do that? She wants to know if you only use it at launches.
I mostly do, or like if I have a sale, maybe. But usually I fill up my newsletter with the launch for a couple months. So
yeah, and I would say be careful about doing newsletter swaps with an older book, because I have had people want to swap with me before, and I go to put their book in, and I'm like, oh, I've shown this one like twice already, and it's an older book, and people just aren't interested in it anymore. And so I would really only try to do them during launches, because they become less and less effective the more you keep putting your book out there.
Yeah, there's a diminishing return on it, especially plus the annoyance factor. And so, like, I will even put my own books on my newsletter, or I don't think I ever promo anybody's book unless it's like the first time it's free, that kind of thing. or my book the first time it's free or reduced, because I don't want to annoy my people either. So it is a very good launch tool, but otherwise it's less effective. Okay, so for marketing plans, this can include, like, if you want to do AMS ads, if you want to do Facebook ads, if you want to do, some people still do the, what's it called when you go around on all the book review sites, a blog tour.
Yeah, blog tour. Mm-hmm.
Some people still do. I don't have like fuzzy brain. So you can do blog tours. It might be like the promo graphics, where you're going to put them, how you're going to reach out to your fan groups, how you're going to present yourself and find readers. So what do you guys, do you set something up ahead of time, know what you're going to do with every book?
I mainly just focus on like the AMS ads and the newsletter swaps, and that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. So it might be something like, every once in a while, if I'm releasing like the third or fourth in the series, I'll go back and I'll put a promo day on the first book so that it's moving a lot of free or reduced copies. Mm-hmm. And I'll put some promo ads behind that so that it's moving. It can help lift my launch on the new book more. Mm-hmm. So that's, just kind of strategies like that you need to be thinking about, like, just be really open and brainstorm and think of all the different ways that you might be able to improve your marketing, and then just make a plan for it so you know what you're doing, and you can plan and budget for it too.
So can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah.
Two things. One, I really like using pre-orders, especially when I'm working with Facebook ads, just because you get concrete information when you have a book on pre-order because they can't download it through KU. So if your ads are working. Now, they're not, people are hesitant to do it. I haven't found that I lose a lot of money out of that way. I do get pre-orders enough, and I don't run crazy ads. I run like $5-10 a day ads just so I know, okay, is my blurb converting? Is my cover converting? Is my ad copy converting? That to me is really important for launch day because I want to make sure all those things are in place. Mm-hmm. So I utilize my ad marketing plan before my book even goes live. But I was looking at your list, and there was one thing that I didn't notice that I think we should take note of is making sure my paperback is ready to go. Going back and putting paperbacks up of all my books that I have not put paperbacks up of is a giant pain in the butt. And so I am trying to make that be part of my launch strategy. Before my book even goes live, I want my paperback to go live because you are going to miss out on sales. And I'm amazed how many paperbacks I sell, even with Sweet Romance, that I didn't think I was going to, especially if you're a person who uses ads. You want to hit every person. When I run ads, everybody, I get one or two people a week asking, is this in paperback? I don't like to read on my phone. I want it in my hands. And there are people who are looking for it. And it doesn't even have to be where you have to pay an artist or a cover artist, $100 or $150 or $200 to do your paperback. Me and Lucy McConnell, she just uses Amazon's Create. And she's like, it just takes your cover image and she actually puts a little border around the cover image and then it matches the same color for the other side, and Amazon will create it for you. So you don't have to spend money to have a paperback, but having a paperback up is so important because that is another way for you to get sales.
Yeah. Plus, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was like, with my last launch, what I did, I had my paperback published a few days before my ebook was able to go live because there's a bunch of weird stuff going on. But it was nice in a way because then I was able to have my ARC team put their reviews on the paperback. So I had a bunch of reviews ready to go before the ebook even went live. So.
Yeah. Yes. And if you are really, really cool and like not at the last minute, I mean, also getting your audiobook done, if that's something that you do. So when you launch, every single option for the person, because that's when you are at your most visible, is when you are launching. And so if you have all these different formats people can purchase your book for, it's just going to maximize the amount of income you can get. Because some people, if they go to a book and they see there's no paperback, they'll just click off and not even go. And I recently did a poll in my newsletter asking people what they kind of formats they want to hear about. And I was amazed how many people said, I want to know about paperbacks. And so even in my Facebook group, I have people, when is this going to be put in paperback? When is this? I have all of these books. I want the whole set. So I think we as indies think all we sell is ebooks, but paperbacks are a huge portion of your income. And not only that, but doing paperbacks of your box sets. And you can price them pretty high and people will buy them. I mean, I would think that's an obnoxiously large book, but I have paperbacks of some of my box sets and I sell them on a regular basis.
Like how many books are in your box? Because I'm like, I have a box set that's like 6 books. And most of the books are over 70,000 words. I'm like, that'd be huge.
So what I would probably do is I would take that down and I would do 2 different box sets.
Yeah.
And then you can put paperbacks. But I think you can put up paperbacks of whatever you want to. So you could do 2, 2, and 2. I mean, they wouldn't be linked to any ebooks, but you could market to those to those paperbacks as well. But I would just take it down and you maximize more money that way too, if it's not getting a lot of visibility. But that's what I did with my Braxton Brothers, is 2 different box sets. And so I have 2 different paperback sets that you can, but I did my 4-book paranormal into 1 paperback.
So one of my December projects is going to be to doing all my novella series into box set paperbacks, because they are novellas. A lot of them are too slender, like when I try and put them in paperback, to even really have much of a spine, even when I do like a small size and like big print or whatever. And so I'm just going to do box sets of for my paperbacks in my novella series. So that's one of my projects for December. And on the audiobook, just to clarify, if you want to launch your audiobook, like when your book goes live, you can only do that if your book's on pre-order, because ACX has to have the book up and see that it's a product before they'll allow you to do the audiobook for it. Just a heads up on that.
You have a relationship with your audiobook artist. So I've talked to mine where she would start it, and then once I had an Amazon link, but you'd have to have a good relationship with your artist to be like, if you start this, I will pay you for it, sort of.
Yeah.
We've had discussions back and forth on how to do it. Most of the time I just throw it up for pre-order and we're good to go.
Yeah. So cover reveal on website and social media. This isn't like a must, but I'm going to be releasing it on my website anyway and showing, and you want to start creating hype. So I always, sometimes I can forget to do it, and it's like, takes like 10 seconds and it can get your readers excited. So why not do it? Anybody want to comment on that, or is that pretty self-explanatory? We'll just move on down. So advanced promotion. So some of that's kind of what Amy's talking about, where sometimes she runs like Facebook ads on pre-orders. But it can also be just like in your newsletter, mentioning what you're writing, letting people know what you're working on. I always have like coming soon on my website. It surprises me how many people I actually get dropping by my website all the time. And so if they can go to my homepage and see what I've got coming next, and they can start getting excited for it. What else do you guys do to kind of start doing advanced promotions?
So I always like to share the blurb. Well, like maybe I'll do a thing where I share the cover, and I also have the cover in like the back of the book before it. But yeah, I'll share the cover, I'll share the blurb, and then of course have the pre-order link if it's up for pre-order. And then other times I will just share little teasers from inside the book that I think will, hopefully help people be interested in it. And I'll share those in my newsletter, and then also on social media as well. I need to be better with my website.
I know. Website is like a constant work of progress. Okay.
For me, I think for me though, if you're going to be pushing a lot of this, I think then having a pre-order, especially if you have finished your book, I just think you're going to be getting people excited and pushing, and then you want to capitalize on that excitement by saying, if you liked it, go pre-order your copy. So I wouldn't spend any money on any type of promotional anything unless you have a pre-order. And if that's not something you want to do, I mean, I don't know how hard I would push an excitement for it if I didn't have a pre-order, or somewhere to send them to, or sign up for my newsletter to find out when this launches. Have them do something, then just tell them about it. Like give them a call to action, because if not, then you're going to, by the time your book is launched, you're going to be like this is in my reader group. I was like, does anyone want to see a sneak peek copy of the first book or first chapter of my next book? And everyone's like, yay. And this lady was like, no. And I was like, oh, why not? And she's like, because then I will think I have read the book before. And so just be careful too with how much you show. You might confuse your readers, or they might be like, oh no, I think I already bought this book because I remember seeing it and hearing about it and maybe I read it. So I would just be like, capitalize as much as you can on what you have them do after they find out about it.
Yeah. For me, since I don't run ads, it's just mostly on my social media and my newsletter and my website. And I am always trying to collect people. Like, if you want to know the minute this goes live, then you need to be signed up on my newsletter so you can get notified. Okay, so create your book funnel download page for ARCs, or however you send your ARCs out. Like for me, I use book funnel. I think most people tend to do that. But it takes a minute, to set it up and have it all ready to go out. And like Amy mentioned, having your tagline and your blurb ready to go on it. So that's just one step to be doing. So you go ahead and set it up and send out your ARCs. So what do you guys do in this whole process with ARCs? Because it's a pretty big step. And a lot of people have a lot of questions about it.
So I really like book funnel for setting up and sending out ARCs. That's what I use. And I put the book up there. Sometimes I put it up unedited, but I do tell people this is unedited. It will go through an editor, but if you find any mistakes that you really want to tell me about, go ahead and tell me about them. And other times, if I am more prepared and have time to get it back from the editor, then I'll just send it up, put it up already edited. But again, I'll say if you find any mistakes, let me know, because always there's something that somebody missed. But yeah, book funnel is really easy to use. And then I just send the link out to everybody on my ARC list.
I do always wait until it's edited, just because I like to use my ARC team kind of as like my final proofreaders. And so what I do with that is I will just offer a $10 Amazon gift card to any, well, not giving it to anyone who does it, but I have that gift card. And then I say, if you send me back the typos, then you'll be in the drawing to win that. And I usually have at least a handful of people sending me the different typos that they find. And I always end up doing another proofread, usually after I send it to them as well. And they find things that I don't find on my last proofread. So it's been a good thing for me. But it usually helps me get out a pretty clean copy out there. But I use book funnel as well. When we did our Sweet Kisses box set, I was in charge of the ARCs for that. And what we did with that was a little different than what I normally do. I used like a certified mail campaign with that. And with that, I was able to just automatically have it set to send like a reminder email to them, however long I wanted afterwards, with the link to put their review. And so that's something you can do as well. Or you can just, what I normally do is just send out another email when it's live and give them all the links as well. But the other way, you're only sending it to the people who actually downloaded it, where my lazy way, I just send it to everyone on the ARC team, whether they downloaded it or not. So, but then they also have another chance to download it really quick.
Yeah.
Before it. So whatever.
I have two places for my ARC team. So I have a Facebook group and I have a newsletter, because I have people that like one or the other. And so but always when I know I'm going to have one coming up or sending out in a few days, I always give them a heads up, because most of these people read for a lot of authors. And if I want them to have my book read and be able to review it, early in my launch, then I need to give them warning that it's coming and say, like, save me a spot on your to be read list, because this book is coming to you in just, a few days or a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then I send them the ARC and make the same disclaimer that we've talked about, where this isn't a proofed copy. I'd be happy to hear any typos that you find, blah, blah, blah. And then I do send out, like, especially my Facebook page, I post, like, the book is live. And that post is their trigger to be like, oh, here's the link to click on to go leave my review, and now you know it's time to do it. So it works as a reminder and also as a convenience for them. And I send a similar thing out to my newsletter at the same time. So just talking about a couple of, like, I don't really want to spend a lot of time about how to gather your art team, because that can be kind of just, you can do it organically or ask for people. But what you really want to focus on is finding people that read in your genre and that know how to review a book in your genre and aren't going to be like a sci-fi reader and saying, well, there wasn't enough action in this romance, that kind of thing. But you also don't want them to mess up your also bots by, because a lot of art people will actually go and buy your book. I don't know if you guys have, I think we've talked about it before, but a lot of my ARC readers like to buy the book either because they like it and want to just keep it in their library, or because they like to have verified reviews. And so it could also mess up your also bots. Anything else we want to talk about with ARCs? Like, I would also say, like, I'm not worried about having 50 reviews when I launch, like, the first day. It's not high on my priority list, because reviews don't sell my books as much as people think that they would. I've finally learned over the years. And so, and I actually want a slower launch. So I still like to have kind of slow launches. And so I'm okay if by the end of the first week, I only have a dozen to 20 reviews on my book. I'm perfectly happy with that. So I don't ever make a huge, like, review number push. So don't stress too much if you're a new author and you don't have tons of reviews when you launch a book. It's something that's going to grow organically over time. You'll have readers contact you and say, can I be on your review team? So, and a lot of times that's the best way to find people, because they're active, they know what they're doing, and they read in your genre. So, publish your book. This might sound like, if you've set up a pre-order, it might be as easy as like letting Amazon publish it for you. But basically, what I put by publishing on my checklist is just going in and making sure all my details are correct, or that I've entered them all in on KDP's there's a 3-section, like, publishing digital forms you have to fill out, and then click publish and it goes live. And always know it takes anywhere from, for me, I've had books go live as early as like 10 to 12 hours, but they tell you it can take up to 3 days. I haven't ever had it take that long. Have you guys had it take 3 days to publish a book?
Just when it's on pre-order.
Yeah. So it should go live fairly quickly.
Oh, my last one, though, it took like a whole week because there was this headache thing, because it had been previously published in a box set. So I have had it take a week. So that's why the paperback was ready. It was great.
So we'll move on to the next slide. So submit to promo sites. So this is if on your marketing plan you plan to have promo sites, or you have to do it like ahead of time. Sometimes you have to have your link. I mean, you always have to have your link to be able to submit. So, like, I unfortunately can't usually submit until after I've published the book. But if you do a pre-order, then you'll have the link ahead of time and you can submit early. But you can usually search in our Facebook group for promo sites that are popular. BookBub is the most well-known, and it's the big dog in the party. But there's a few others like eReader News Today, and Robin Reads, and BookSense, and I mean, there's like tons and tons of them with varying effectiveness by genre and all that sort of stuff. But if you if you're planning to do any kind of a sale, especially, then be sure you get those submitted, because they do book up pretty quickly.
I would also make sure you are on Author Central and you claim your book so that it shows up on your Author Central page.
But
and then I was going to say on BookBub too. Claim it on BookBub so they send out a new release. I would do that before your book goes live.
I don't think you can.
So that
on BookBub, it has to be live. Not if it's on pre-order, it'll be It'll show up. So my checklist is based on not having a pre-order, and so we were just going to try and mention some of the things that might be different if you do have the pre-order up. So start ads is next on the list, then claim your book on Amazon Central. So for those of you who don't know what Amazon Central is, it's a separate sort of platform thing that Amazon has for its authors. It's separate from your, it's connected to your KDP account, but it's separate. And it's just allows you to do a lot of things where you log in with your Amazon account and you're able to have your bio there. It has a bibliography of all your books that you have for sale on Amazon. You can link your blog to it if you want to. You can have your website on there. You can have, various things like that. But you can also go on and use it as a tool to do other things. So you can have it to check your book ranks if you want to. You can change your book description from there. You can track your book sales, even like paperback sales and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of things you can do. But the most important thing for me is getting my book added to my bibliography, because you have to go in there and you have to search for your book and add it. And it usually takes 2 to 3 days to update and populate on your Author Central page so that people can click on your name on your product page and it will take them to your author page and they can see all your other books there. We mentioned that. Then we talked about all the getting your link. As soon as you have your link, sending out all the different places you need to send it. This is one of the things I forget to do sometimes, and so that's why it's in my checklist. If I have newsletter swept set up and people are waiting for my link, this reminds me I need to send my link to all my people on my swap list. I need to send my link to my art team so that they can do the reviews. And then I have update your website with the link. So usually I have a coming soon, like I mentioned on my website for my new book. And that reminds me, I need to go in and add my link to my book and change the coming soon to new release or now available or something like that. You guys tell me if you have anything to add. We've been talking a lot now, so I'm just kind of trying to get through the whole thing. Anybody want to add anything, or are we good?
Okay. Sometimes it is nice to have the pre-order so you can do all this stuff before
ahead
you're
of
not
time.
Rushing at the end to get it all
done.
So.
Yes. But pre-orders stress me out more than having to do this in a whole rush. So it's very
It just depends on
thing.
what works best for you.
Yes. But that's why it's handy to have it all written down, because you do get kind of stressed and frantic. And so if you have it all there, you can be like, oh yeah, I haven't done that. And then like Amy says, add your book on BookBub. So you should, as an author, have gone on and gotten an author profile on BookBub. And as soon as you do that, you can start collecting followers on there. People who use BookBub to leave reviews and that sort of thing. I think people probably either do BookBub or Goodreads, like one or the other. But the awesome thing about BookBub is that anybody who follows you on BookBub, when you have a new release, BookBub will send an alert to them for free. You don't have to do anything or pay anything. It's amazing. And so I always have a link on my newsletter and occasionally prompt my social media followers to follow me on BookBub. I try and get them following me on as many platforms as I can. But you have to remember, I think you have to add your book to your BookBub profile within is it 7 days of its release? I think it's 7 days of it going live if you want to have a new release.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's a window, and I don't remember exactly how long, but yeah, it's something like that. So you need to go in and do it right away.
Yeah. Oh, and somebody says they don't send it on short stories, and that's true. They don't. It has to be a full-length book, and they have guidelines where they'll tell you exactly what that they consider that to be.
They don't do book box sets either, I don't think.
But
it'll say it's not eligible for new release because of
You should still go and add it, because people are going to be wanting to leave reviews. They're going to want to be recommending it to their followers. It just needs to be on there regardless. And when you add it, if it's not eligible, BookBub will just send you a little newsletter and telling you why it's not eligible. But you should always go and add it. and somebody says it's not owned by Amazon. No, it's not. And you're right. Goodreads is owned by Amazon now. And so I don't even mess with Goodreads anymore because it automatically populates because it is owned by Amazon. So I don't have to do anything.
Except they always add mine to another author with my name who published one memoir.
Oh, no.
So I have to go in and every single book I have to say,
Judy.
can you please give it to me? Because it's mine. And she's not publishing books. It's just me. And
That's annoying.
Yeah, I'm like, can't I just be the first choice, please? But I'm not.
So I do have make sure it's added on Goodreads on my list, or make sure it's added to your name instead of like someone else's profile on Goodreads. Yeah. And then it's basically just doing your social media promotion, sending your new release announcements to your newsletter, which is always like my highest click newsletter ever. Obviously, is they want to know when my book is new and out. And here is a big tricky one that a lot of people forget and don't think about. And that is contacting Amazon to finalize all of your categories and to link your series. Because they always say like your series should link together. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. And sometimes it just takes forever.
And sometimes they put the books all in the wrong order.
And and then sometimes they put you in all kinds of wackadoo categories. Or like, and for some reason I've asked them and they cannot give me an answer. I'm like, if my book is not published as a paperback, it's only published as an ebook, why is it always put specifically into the book category instead of the Kindle category? And then later, sometimes I'll go in and be like, oh, why is your book in all these book categories, but it's only ebook? I'm like, I don't know. You guys did that, not me. I'm not trying to get on there. I even had someone say, oh, you don't want it in the book category because it's not going to do anything for you there. I'm like, you think so? Can we just put it in the Kindle categories? But you can have up to 10 categories, and when you publish, you're only allowed to select 2 categories. And then Amazon will go in and based on your keywords and other metadata, they'll usually add you to several more, but it's kind of a just random thing. It might be 3 categories, it might be 8, and they might be right, they might be wrong. So I always like to go in with Amazon and say, I want my book in these categories. They're very helpful. They're very willing to do that. And I found it easier to call them, but some people like to email. You just go to the help section and go to contact us. And then there's usually forms that you go through to get to the right person. And there's usually, I've always had the option to click either call me or send email. And I always click call me. They call me back within like immediately or within like 4 or 5 minutes. I have a conversation. It's done. It's amazing. They didn't used to do that.
Yeah, unless your phone automatically sends all the unknown numbers to voicemail. Like
Judy, you just have all kinds of problems I don't have.
I told Verizon did it, and now it's nice for all like the calls I don't want, but when I'm like waiting for someone, they have to be in my contacts list or else I'll just have to call them back. But I can't do that with Amazon, so I'm like, oh, I'll just email them, whatever.
That's annoying.
Yeah, and I don't know how to get it off either. I'm like, if I could just take it off for a few seconds, that's all I need. But well.
I feel sorry for Judy now. That's just like a whole lot of like annoying stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
okay. My book sells a little still, at least.
They do sell. They sell awesome. You just have some headaches trying to like get all this stuff done.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my checklist. I'm sure that there's probably more steps. Is there anything you want to add? Like, I have no idea what you would do for wide and pre-order. I know that you have to obviously get your book added on all the different platforms you want to have it up on. Anybody want to talk about that before we go?
So really the only difference for pre-orders is the steps are in a little bit different order. You can do some of the things earlier because you have a link. And really that's the only difference I see, other than if you are launching a book at 99 cents and not having a pre-order, you can buy some promos with some of the people you mentioned. But with a pre-order, if you're doing it at full price and you're not doing a 99 cents day, then you wouldn't do those.
Yeah.
And side note, I know some people have put up pre-orders at full price before and then wanted to do like a deal for like 99 cents. And all the pre-orders you had before that point, if you haven't published the book, they will go to 99 cents and you might lose a lot of money. So if you're planning to do a 99-cent day, wait until it is already published.
Yes.
So that you can get.
I did that thing and I had like 300 pre-orders at $2.99 and I dropped it to 99 cents. And I lost all those extra money. And I was like, well, I will never do that again. So, yeah. I just gave a really good gift to everyone who pre-ordered my book. They were like, yay.
Yeah, so if you are wanting to do a 99-cent pre-order deal, do that at the beginning and then raise the price.
Yep.
And I was going to say something. Oh, okay, yeah. So if you're somebody who has traditionally published KU and you want to start going wide, but you kind of want to ease your readers into it, you have a 3-day window in KU to get out of KU. So when I launched a wide book, I mean, obviously you don't put your books up on the other platforms yet, but you can have your book on Kindle Select. And all you have to do is go in to you don't even have to call Amazon. You just go in and you unselect Kindle Select and it will pull you right out in a 3-day period of time. So I had that problem. What was it? It was because I had launched all my Braxton Brothers under KU. And then I had my pre-order up under KU. And once you put that you want to be in KU, you can't unselect it. And so when I was taking them all out to go wide, I was talking to the person. He's like, you have 3 days. So then I maximized that time. And I told all my readers, if you want to download it in KU, then now is the time to do it. Because even if you pull your book out of KU and put it wide, it will still honor anybody who has downloaded it, and then they can still read it. So I still get page reads on my wide books that I've had for a year now that have not been in KU. So know that that's an option to have. Anybody can do that. If you decide you don't want to be in KU, you can pull it out after 3 days. Just unselect it, and it'll take it out. I don't know a lot about pre-orders on the wide platforms. I don't worry so much about those because I just don't have much of an audience there. But I do know, I think it's Nook that you have to have at least 10% of your book done before you can put it up for pre-order so they can view it. And that's why I've never put pre-orders up on them because I never have 10% of my book done for them to see. So it's not I just don't sell a lot on the other platforms. Eventually I'll want to get to that point where I'm doing platform stuff or pre-orders on there. But my biggest seller still is Amazon. So that's my main focus. And if you haven't done pre-orders, and if you have, I always put up a pre-order when my book was halfway done because I knew I was on my way. I might as well get it up and start getting things and visibility on it. As long as you're not a person that it stresses you out. But you have a whole year. You can post it for a whole year. You can go October 2021. I should be able to finish this book. So back when it was 3 months, that was chaotic.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better now.
We have to watch things because Amazon's always changing things and they're kind of messing with things right now too. So we'll just and
if you have pre-order, make sure you get your pre-order up early than later because we've had people losing pre-orders, lots of pre-orders because Amazon does something glitches and all of a sudden you've lost them. And I have over 3,000 pre-orders on my next book. So I'm like, I got to get this done and uploaded before Amazon decides to X-nay all my pre-orders because then I would cry. I would very much cry. So yeah, that's what I would say for wide.
Okay. Sounds good. I was just going to comment. Lisa said something about how she hates jumping through their myriad of hoops just to get a real person on Amazon. And so the way I'm talking about doing it, I don't have to go through any of that. A real person just calls me. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you go through the contact us list, and you say that you want to work on your book description and you keep answering all of the different questions that they do, then by the time you get to the end of it and they say call us, and it sends you directly to like a real person who already knows what you need and you're all set. So it's easy. Can you change your pre-order date?
Yes, you can't. You can't move it back farther usually unless you like email them and get special, but on your
you can go
30 days later.
And that's
one time.
Change right on the calendar.
You do it 30 days later one time, right?
On each book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
But
time.
if you're wanting to, set it out a year in advance, like I always do, then you can, of course, always move it closer. I do that. I'll like go 6 months away after I'm feeling a little confident, just so that people know it's coming a little sooner. And then when I'm really close to the end, then I'll move it a little bit closer to the actual release date.
But I don't think they don't let you change it once you get inside that published 4-day window, right?
No.
At that point, if you haven't uploaded it, you're just out of luck, and then you're going to be in trouble, and they'll put you in pre-order jail, which means that they may not let you, I think they forgive you one time, but after that, they may not let you have a pre-order again for a while.
And even if you don't even publish it. So like I got in pre-order jail because I put it up as I wanted it to pre-order, but I never went through all the steps to the end to publish it. And I ended up just like deleting the whole thing, and they wouldn't let me do pre-orders. I had to call them and say, but I didn't even publish it wasn't even, but as soon as you click, I want a pre-order, and you go to the next page, apparently it logged you as a pre-order person, even if you didn't finish all the way to the end. So I had to call them, and they were like, oh yeah, that's a problem on our end. We'll fix that. I would say if you are going to move your book up and you have a lot of pre-orders, I would upload your final manuscript, let that go through and process, and then go change your date. I would be really worried that you would put your current one up and change your date, and Amazon would get mad at you. I just don't like, especially like for me, I have as many as I do. I don't want to mess anything up. So I'll upload my manuscript, wait that 24-hour period of time for it to say, now it's live, then go in and change my published date so that everything is good to go.
Or you can be like me and don't do pre-orders, like hardly ever. But there's pros and cons to it. Yeah. So if pre-orders stress you out and you're new and it's your first time, you do not have to do a pre-order. And like with my current rom-com series, I thought, well, should I put up a pre-order for the next book? And I decided I didn't want to, because almost as soon as I put a pre-order up, I stopped wanting to write that book. Because I feel like I have to, and there's all this pressure and stress associated with it, and I needed to have a year with this. Like I already have enough stress on my plate right now, and it may be hurting me a little bit, but I don't think it's hurting me much. I think that for the most
launches still go really well. That's why I'm like kind of like with my next one. Do I want to see what it would be like without the pre-order? I don't know. Yeah,
so I think that the people who are fans of the series are looking for it to go live and are probably following me somewhere. I may lose some people in my net, but I'm also not like, I have no
thousands and thousands of pre-orders. Do it.
Yes.
Doing it. But if you're getting like a handful
pre-orders like Amy, that's a whole different thing than me having like 60 or like 150 or something like. Like that number of pre-orders just stresses me out, and I can get that many sales back. So I'm not worried about pre-orders at this point. But so just don't let it be like a hurdle to you thinking like I can't publish because I'm scared of pre-orders. Like they're an awesome tool if they work for you and you know how to use them. But they can be really, really tricky and stressful too. So don't feel bad about like letting that be something you learn over time.
Well, I think it's all how you look at it too. So like it stresses you out, but I'm like, yay, people want to read more. To me, it shows me like I'm hooking my readers at the end of every book to the point where they want to pre-order something. Yeah. I just get people complaining, I can't believe I have to wait till December to read this. The next one, that's what I get a lot of. But for me, it motivates me because I'm like, okay, so I am doing something good. I am getting people interested because pre-order is not a common thing people normally buy. So if I'm getting pre-orders, and I also do, you get way more pre-orders when you're wide than you do in KU because people in KU just won't buy the next book.
Well, they can't pre-order like with their KU membership, so they wait until it's out to read it in KU. Yeah.
So so just be aware of that, but also know that Amazon, like I have a Kindle uploaded on my phone, and every time someone I know or follow posts a new book, my Kindle alerts me. So like with Michelle, it's probably one of the reasons she has people who have her books or have read her books. And so she doesn't have to pre-order it because she has all these people who get alerted that their book is launched. So, Amazon is in the interest of selling your book because they make a profit off of it too. So they will do things to help you push your book that time too. So if you're a KU person and say, I don't want to do pre-orders, Amazon's still going to let people know who have read your books and have the Kindle app. hey, an author that you've read and enjoyed released another book.
But on the same side, it's funny because I'm going to make a pre-order argument right now. Like if you have it up for pre-order, Amazon will send a pre-order release too. So you would get double releases to your followers if you do a pre-order, and book club does too.
Yeah, and if you like update the date, I think they might send another one.
So it's almost worth it to change the date on purpose, huh?
Yeah.
She's a devious girl, our Judy.
Yes.
Okay, so great strategy there. Okay, I think we've wrapped everything up. We've kept you for our time. Is there anything we want to close out with? Huh?
Someone asked this question. Are the videos a certain date each month? I'd love to put them on my calendar. So we are going to be moving to 2:00 every other Thursday because 10:00 is just too late for some of us, and we're falling asleep half the time. So
it worked 2 years ago when we all needed to have our
young whippersnappers, and we're not that way anymore.
So first and third Thursday.
It's the first and third Thursday instead of every other, because some months have like 3 Thursdays. We're going to do 2 a month. So it's the first and third Thursdays. If there's like some kind of like problem with the date, then we'll usually let you guys know that.
And we also wanted to do earlier in the day because some days we might just want to get on and do writing sprints. So we wanted to have it more options for us to be able to give to you guys also, so that we're not up super late at night.
Yeah, some of us are waking up at 5 a.m. now to get writing done. So.
Those are some crazy ladies.
And yes, for those of you looking at your calendar, this is not the third Thursday of October. It is the fourth Thursday. And it was because last week we were all just like, can't do it this week. I am like not in a good place to do podcast, so let's do it next week. And we just like looked at our lives and what we all have going on and decided that it's better for us to move it to this time. And we are hoping that it's going to be a better time for you too. And that you'll be able to join us and more of you will be able to be on here live because we really love the interaction that we get on here. So thanks for joining us, and we will be sure to be on here on the first and third Thursday at 2:00 and have lots of awesome new topics, book sprints, lots of fun things. We want this to be all like interactive and positive and just another way for you guys to learn and grow with us here on the Writing Gals. We can no longer say thanks for staying up late with us. We've got to come up with a new slogan, but that's all we got.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for hanging out with us.